Dallas Cowboys en 60. Estamos aquí en una entrevista muy especial después de todo lo que pasó en el draft de los Dallas Cowboys la semana pasada. Y hoy tengo un invitado muy especial que me da mucho gusto poder recibir aquí justamente en nuestro podcast. Bryan Broaddus, hi, how are you? And thanks for accept this invitation.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you again. I think it's been a couple of years since you and I visited, but it's always great to visit with all my friends that follow you on your channel.
Yeah. So we will talk about all the things about the draft. And I want to start with this. And of course, thanks, Ryan. You know, Mexico, the Dallas Cowboys are a very big fan base. And it's the biggest fan base. Mexico is Cowboy. So tell us how you feel now and how are you?
Well, I tell you what, I really feel good about what the Cowboys are doing and what they did through the draft. And I know if you're a fan of the team, and again, you know, Mexico is huge fan base down there, and I get a lot of good questions. The people that follow the draft show, the love of the star, everything we do on 105.3 The Fan, it's just such a unique fan base and very knowledgeable fan base when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and to the NFL as well. And so when you look at the Cowboys, though, there were some areas where I felt like they needed to try and address from where they came from after the playoff game in San Francisco. And, you know, the situation with, with the offensive line, with the defensive line, with the skill players, with the secondary, there were a lot of different directions that the Cowboys can go. And in the offseason, for them to get a lot of their guys signed, when Donovan Wilson, you know, I didn't think they were going to get that done. Leighton Vander Esch, I wasn't sure they were going to get that done. So they were able just to, one day at a time, they were able to get those guys done. And then when you trade, for Gilmore and for Cooks. So now you're in a situation where, okay, you don't have to go and draft the wide receiver. You don't have to go and draft the corner. It kept them very open to taking with Mozzie Smith as the first pick there at 26, because they're looking at their defensive line and they're like, what was the one thing that they struggled with? It was stopping the run. And Mozzie Smith from Michigan is one of the best run stoppers in college football. And the film shows that. But all the movement that they did up until the draft allowed them just to go and take the defensive tackle, the tight end, an outside linebacker. It really set up very well. And one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is the Cowboys draft very well. And that's something that, that's something that they're known for. They don't spend a lot of money in free agency, but they love to draft. And by using those picks to go get players and then being able to draft, I feel like that they really helped their football team.
You're talking about a lot of things now I want to ask you, but start since the beginning. What's your vision about and your feelings with this draft? Not there'll be a lot of opinions about it, but in your own vision, what is your feeling about if they do the things well, or maybe?
You're absolutely right. I think they did now, and it was not one of these drafts that was really flashy or had, that bam, it's this player. It was really a very steady way of doing things. When you're picking as late as they were in every round, the board has to come to you. And I'm talking about the draft board, it can come to you. You have an idea what players you might like, but you're kind of at the mercy of the other teams ahead of you. When you're picking really high, you could go grab players. It becomes more of a flashy kind of a draft. And I think with the Cowboys, I think it was very steady. I remember last year with the Tyler Smith picks, and Sam Williams picks, they weren't, it was like, they weren't that pop, that flash, all that I'm talking about. They were very steady players, and it worked out for them. And that's one thing that Will McClay and Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, it was just, let's be steady. Let's take players we can use. Let's take players off the board that we really like. They really like Mozzie Smith a lot. They like Luke Schoonmaker a lot. Overshown, they like a lot. Fihoko. I could just go on and on. These are guys that they had on their board. And when it came time for them to pick, maybe there was a little bit of discussion about taking this guy or taking that guy. But I thought it was very steady and very, not big or flashy, like I said, but very steady in the way that they helped their team. I personally, I like what they did. Maybe there's one or two players I might have done differently, but I think overall, when they looked at where they wanted to pick these players, they had an idea of like, get him here, get him here, get him here.
Tell us, Bryan, what's your favorite pick?
Yeah, it's the one. I think that the Deuce Vaughn pick was, I think everybody likes the Deuce Vaughn pick because of just, the story of his father, Chris, who I know very, very well as a scout. The player Deuce he's short. He's 5'5". He's not a big guy at all, but you watch him play, he plays big. And I know I had him on my board or my evaluations at the top of the 5th round. Well, they got him in the bottom of the 6th round. So to me, that's great value right there. I think the pick of him, I really like the pick of Luke Schoonmaker, the 2nd round pick from Michigan, because if Dallas wants to run the football, and the one thing you watch Michigan do in college, they run the football. And Luke Schoonmaker was one of the reasons why they ran the ball well. He was a guy that was right on the line, and he comes off the ball, he gets into his guy, and he battles, he turns his guy, he moves his guy, and then the ball goes right behind him. So when you watch him play, you get an idea of, you're like going, hey, this guy, if they want to run the football, and we've seen the Cowboys in the past, for half the season, they run the ball well. Then Terrence Steele gets hurt, but they haven't had anybody right there at the point of attack that can come off the ball and get the push that Luke Schoonmaker can make. So I love the Vaughn pick. I love Luke Schoonmaker. I think those are the picks that help. Mozzie will help. Fihoko will help. I just feel like, though, that they did what they needed to do in order to supplement the other players that they already have on the roster.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the first 3 players in this draft for the Dallas Cowboys. So since Russell, Maryland, the Cowboys don't select a defensive tackle so high in the draft. So right. What do you think about Sim Smith? What makes him so special? You tell us something about in Michigan, but we can.
Yeah, I think that the thing with Mozzie, when you watch him play, is how strong he is. And that's something, if you're going to play run defense, the whole idea for a guy like Mozzie Smith at 323 pounds is that when he gets into the blockers, the blockers aren't moving him. He's like sitting there, and what he does is he plays really well with his hands. So he controls the blockers, gets rid of the blockers, and then gets to the football. And, he's going to have to develop some pass rush techniques. He's going to have to develop the ability to grab guys, throw guys, swim guys, rip through guys. He's going to have to develop some of that, because right now it's really just about power. It's just about, and that's the thing with Mozzie, is that it's just so impressive how you watch him and he just comes off the ball, he gets to his guy, and then he gets rid of that guy, and then he's moving on to the ball. Really impressive with his upper body, his upper and lower body power. Really good.
Yeah, we watch Mika Parsons so happy with this selection.
Yeah.
I don't know if he tells him if he tells you something about why he's so happy for that, or many details about that selection.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Micah is that Micah understands that if they play the run really well and teams can't run the ball, they have to throw. And where's Micah at his absolute best? Rush the passer, rush the passer, rush the passer. So Mozzie, if they don't get a run on first down, if they don't get a run on second down, now Mozzie, now it's about, okay, team has to throw the ball. Now Micah, rush, Micah, rush, Micah, rush. And, you know, all these guys, Tank Lawrence, rush, you know, everybody rush. That's where Mozzie's going to help, is that if they can't run the ball, they're going to have to throw the ball, and that plays right into Micah's hands. I completely understand why Micah is super happy about having Mozzie Smith here.
Yeah, really, really happy. He's surprised.
Yeah.
That's good. So in the second round, we have a Luke Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
That's the name?
Yeah, Schoonmaker. Luke Schoonmaker. Yeah. It's kind of a tough name to say.
From Michigan, too. So
Michigan.
Now we'll be the Cowboys of Michigan, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. But really good player. And I think that Luke doesn't get enough credit for how good of a receiver he is. We talk about the blocking, but Michigan's offense is not, you know, it's not throw the ball all over the place. It's run, throw it, run, throw it. So Luke is blocked and a blocker first, but his ability to get up the field, he's got soft hands, he catches the ball well. He's got what we call a good catch radius. So ball behind him, he catches, ball in front, catches. You know, he's got that ability. So I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for how good of a pass receiver. He's really a complete tight end, block and catch, does a good job.
Yeah. Everybody talk about Michael Mayers, but this guy is so special, you know. Yeah,
exactly. So he's a really good player. He really, really is.
Yeah. And in the third round, we have the Mario Overshown, of course, of the Texas Longhorns. Another play of defense. Dan Quinn will be very happy with this linebacker, not?
Yeah, the thing with Overshown is that he at Texas, when you watch him play, he's a really tall guy. He's 6'3". You know, he's about 229, 230 pounds, but he can really, really run. And that's the thing that Dan, when you watch him play, he was Overshown initially at Texas was a safety, and then they moved him to linebacker. So he's got that ability, like with what we've seen with Curse. You know, with Curse, could play safety, could play linebacker. Overshown is kind of that same guy. I think Dan is going to use him at what they call the will linebackers. So you have the Sam linebacker, the Mike linebacker in the middle, and then the will linebacker plays usually on the back side. Now, the will linebacker can really run. That's the will linebacker. It's like Sean Lee. Sean Lee used to be the will linebacker, and he would just run. And I think Overshown is going to be the same type of player. Quinn's going to find spots for him, let him run, let him cover, let him blitz if he has to.
Do you think with these apps, will be this the year of consolidation of the defense of the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think that, to me, they've got so much depth at the positions. The one thing that I really trust about with Dan and these coaches is when they get guys. When Will McClay and Steven and Jerry add players to the defense, they find ways to make those players have success. And that's the biggest thing right now that I'm kind of struggling with is offensively that they made so many moves that, the coaches, Mike calling the plays now, Kellen Moore gone. They get rid of the offensive line coach. They get rid of the running back coach. They get rid of the quarterbacks coach. Everything has kind of stayed together on defense. Offense, it's just kind of like, let's see. So if the questions that I have are more about, how's Mike going to call the plays? How's Brian Schottenheimer going to coordinate the offense? There are a lot more questions about what's going on that offensive side of the ball as opposed to what's going on the defense. Yeah. So that's something we definitely have to keep an eye on for sure.
And you're talking about this movement of Kellen Moore, and I want to know how's the feeling in the team with this situation. There be I don't know. There be another vision. They think they are. I don't know. Maybe that is the factor X. Make something change in the offense, because I don't know what happened. The offense, it's so I don't know how can I say shine.
Well, what you're saying is actually right. There's, we got so used to Kellen Moore calling the plays a certain way. And I think, honestly, after that Green Bay game, when Dallas lost to Green Bay, and Mike really wanted that game. Mike McCarthy really wanted that game.
Yeah.
And he had a chance. They had a 14-point lead, and they lost, and they weren't running the ball, and they didn't try. And then late in the game, all the changes that they made to the staff, I don't know if it's too much. I mean, maybe in the second or third year, we'll see. But is Mike McCarthy going to get a second or third year to be able to see? He's the one that wanted to move on from Kellen Moore. He wanted to move away. I mean, he wanted to move on from Doug Nussmeier, the quarterback coach. And Dak even said that. Dak's like, why are we getting rid of Doug Nussmeier? Well, they moved on. There's just so much change on the offense. And I hope that it all comes together, this year, because if it doesn't, do you waste another year with Dak? Does Dak regress? Does Dak start throwing interceptions? Can they not run the football? Are they not scoring enough points? Are they putting the defense in a lot of bad spots because they're not scoring enough points? There's so much going on with this team right now. It's a good team roster-wise, but you just don't know on the offensive side of the ball, can they pull everything together in order to make it work? If they don't, you and I'll be talking next year after the draft about, new coach this, new coach that. There might not be much leeway for Mike McCarthy since he wanted to move on from Kellen Moore. Maybe Jerry, maybe Steven, maybe Will are like, you had a chance, Mike. You had a chance to call plays, and Dak regressed, and the offense didn't get better, and Tony Pollard wasn't any good, and and the offensive line didn't block very well. So there's a lot of pressure on these offensive coaches for sure. There really is.
Will be the last year of Mike McCarthy, maybe? If not, the thing is not.
It's. I mean, it's this is the fourth year, right? So I think he's got a 5-year contract. So if he's won 25 games. What's so strange is they've been to playoffs the last 2 years. They've won 25 games. They got to the second round of the playoffs, and there's still questions about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy doing this. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll be his last year, but they have to find ways to be competitive, win the division, get in the playoffs, win a couple of games, because if not, the questions are still going to be there from Jerry Jones.
And there'll be two bad guys, maybe. Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott, not because.
Yeah.
If
that's the thing about Dak is whether you like Dak or don't like Dak, the two that we deal with all the time here in Dallas on the radio, there's people that are like, yay, Dak, yay, Dak. And then there's others like, boo, Dak, boo, And so, you're in a situation where you're about to pay him $50 million or, and so, people are like, what are you paying him $50 million for? But on the other hand, people are saying, well, he needs help. He needs, so it's very strange. You can't get people all to come together about Dak because you're to the point in time where we're starting to see quarterbacks getting paid $50 million. And that's, if Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer and the coaches can't get Dak to play at that level, then I don't know, paying $50 million might be a very, very, very bad investment. I want to believe, I really do. I just think that Dak, and I just hope that the coaches hold up their end of the bargain. Dak's going to be ready to play, and the players are going to be ready. I hope McCarthy and Schottenheimer and these coaches will be ready to do their part to make it work.
And in this draft, I will say it, note, if you have the chance for choose maybe a quarterback for the future of the Cowboys, because Dak is the most oldest of the division now. You didn't choose a quarterback?
No, they didn't. And there was some talk, that they might do that. Jerry Jones, when we were at the Senior Bowl, was talking about drafting a quarterback every year. Yeah. And they had the opportunity a couple of different times and chose to take other players. So for one more year, it's Dak, it's Cooper Rush, and it's our guy from West Virginia that why am I going brain dead here for a minute? But Will Greer is who I forgot about. But yeah, that's kind of who that's going to be your three guys right now.
Yeah, because there be many notes about Dugan from TCU.
Yeah, they never got there. Never did.
That's a shame, because I think really they need it for the future. Not maybe now, but they need to understand how is the project, and maybe in the future, because that
depending on how things go this year. It could be this time next year when we visit, it could be whole nother direction that, hey, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. They draft a quarterback high in the draft, and maybe that guy is the guy that ends up is keeping Dak Prescott, from making $50 million, so we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, well, we talk about the offense, but in the part of the defense, we want to know more about Dan Quinn. Not only like a coach, like X and O's. We want to know how is Dan Quinn, because he's a leader. Not also we can watch it in the games, how the players follow him and make the things different. So we want that feeling in all of the team. So tell us about how is he?
Well, the thing with Dan. And I'm very fortunate that two of my best friends were in Atlanta with him. Tom Dimitroff, who no longer was the general manager in Atlanta for a long time. Tommy and I are real close. And then I have another friend that was with him in scouting named Steve Sabo. And Steve's now in Jacksonville. And so they worked with Dan. So when Dan got the job, they were telling me, hey, you're going to love Dan. Everything you're going to love about Dan. He works hard. He's got a good eye for players. The players love being around him. He's a great teacher. I mean, it was super, super positive about Dan Quinn. And the first time I saw, and I'd seen Dan coach in Atlanta as a head coach and all that. I knew what Dan had done at Seattle as a coach. And had great success there. The thing with Dan is that everything that everybody says about him is true. And the first time I saw Dan when we were in California, there in Oxnard, and I was watching him teach, and I'm like going, those guys are right. Those guys are right about what they think because you watch him, the players understand that he teaches in a way where the players get it. It's just not coach speak and all that. It's like really hands-on training and preparation. And you can't talk to a guy now in the organization on defense that doesn't have the utmost respect to Dan Quinn. I mean, all the players on defense. And I think even guys on offense love Dan too, because of what he's done, to these last 2 years when it comes to playing defense, getting turnovers. The defense has gotten so much better. I mean, we all remember what it was like that first year under Mike Nolan. It was awful. It was just awful. And then Dan falls into the lap, and give Mike credit. Mike didn't know Dan. He knew of him, but he never worked with him. So Dan fell into the Cowboys' lap. They make the hire, and now the last 2 years, they've been really, really lucky that Dan didn't get a head coaching job and leave. But they've got him, Jerry Jones has compensated him well. If there's people that believe if something were to happen to Mike McCarthy, that he would be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He'd be the next head coach.
Maybe.
So, yeah. So there's a lot going on there with Dan Quinn, but a lot of good things with Dan Quinn.
Oh my, will be great. We love him really. It's a very,
oh sure, yeah. Everybody loves Dan.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody loves Dan.
Okay, Bryan, we want to talk about this duel. The Kansas State running back Deuce Vaught. This is a really great playmaker. So I want to know, maybe is the better of this draft generation of the Cowboys, maybe?
Yeah, it's interesting. The thing with Deuce, and again, on the draft show, for the draft, we had a chance to visit with Chris, his dad. And they were so excited. Chris was like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I know Deuce is ready to play. I know Deuce can help somebody. Chris didn't know the Cowboys were going to pick him, but they lost out. The Cowboys lost out in the third round when they took Overshown. They were looking at a couple of different guys, and Overshown it was two Texas guys. Overshown and then Roschon Johnson. And so when they took Overshown because he was higher, well, then that kind of the running backs kind of were out of the loop now. And so where they got Deuce Vaughn was right about, it's in the 6th round. That's a no-brainer. That is one of those, just hand in the card. You're going to be, he's a short guy, but the production was so big in college at Kansas State. And you watch the games he played against competition like Alabama, Texas Christian, Oklahoma, in games where it was big time competition. He had some of his best games. So to me, this wasn't just a gift or a sentimental pick. They went and got a legitimate player. They went and got a legitimate running back here. He runs well. He's shifty. He catches the ball well. He's tough. He might not have that home run speed, but he's quick enough. He's fast enough. He's elusive enough that when he gets in the open, he does a good job of making people miss and then being able to finish runs that way. But he's a really dynamic player, really good.
In a multiverse, we want to have Bijan Robinson.
We all did. Me too.
Yeah.
I was hoping. I
would want our jersey maybe, but not.
What did you have a jersey made?
We You know, I went to the game from Longhorns against Alabama.
Yeah.
And really,
How hot was it that day?
Was the game really? So
yeah,
was
Was it
amazing.
hot? Was it really hot?
Yeah, and a lot of people.
My son Bennett just finished his first year at Texas.
Okay.
And he was at the game, and he's like, "Dad, it was so hot," And I'm like, "Hey, that happens," but it was a heck of a game. Really good game. Really good. Yeah, Bijan's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I heard that Atlanta was involved, I'm like, Bijan Robinson's not going to get to.
Oh, that's a shame, really.
Yeah.
So sad for that. But well, now in Atlanta, let's see. No? Okay. But okay, well, and tell me something. And in social media, you know, there'll be a lot of people talking about the topic about Ezekiel Elliott, not if come back, if that's true or not. What's the point about that?
Yeah. I kind of go round and round on this one. We talked about it today on the radio on 105.3 The Fan. And I want to believe, and I like Zeke. I have no ill thoughts towards Zeke. But I feel like that if the Cowboys wanted Ezekiel Elliott back, they would have just reduced his salary. They would have said, all right, you want to play, you don't make $15 million anymore. You make $2 million.
Yeah.
And, I think that's, he could have said, no, I don't want to do it, or yeah, I'll do it. But they never gave him the opportunity. And so now I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, do they do it just because, he's willing to play for $2 million now? But I don't know. I mean, I just don't think they will. I feel like that they want to move on. They want to move on from there. I mean, I could be way wrong. It could be. I know they really like Jones, Ronald Jones, who they went out and got in free agency. I know that Pollard might be just a 1-year deal. Pollard just might be a 1-year thing, and then Deuce, but and then Malik Davis. They've got bodies. But I just don't think if they wanted Elliott back, I think they would have just gone to him in the first place and said, you can't make this, you have to make this. And they never got to that point. And I just don't see, honestly, you and I could be talking about this right now, and tomorrow they sign it back, but I just don't have a great feeling that they're going to do that. I just don't.
Yeah, it would be complicated. No, I don't know. But any team wants to
I think he'll be fine. I think it'd be fine, but I don't know. I just think the Cowboys have I think they've just kind of moved on. I just think they've moved on here. I really do.
I think to that. Well, this 2023 season will be the point of break for Cowboys, no? Because since 1995, not in a Super Bowl, not really made nothing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, do you think really have a big pressure for the team, or is it just here in Mexico?
I do.
Because here,
I do.
So complicated.
I think there's pressure. Like I said earlier, I think there's pressure on Mike McCarthy. I really, really do think there's a lot of pressure on Mike McCarthy, because Mike wanted to make all these changes. Now, I don't think Mike wanted to get rid of Joe Philbin on the offensive line. I don't think he wanted to do that. But I kind of feel like that he wanted the play calling. He felt like that he'd had enough of Kellen Moore. And let's be honest, I think Kellen Moore had enough of Mike. I think Kellen Moore said, enough. I've had enough of you too. And that's why he was like, fine, I'll leave. I'll go to California. We'll be good. But the pressure on players there's pressure on guys like Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is being paid well. He's got to be better than he was last year. There's pressure on Jalen Tolbert to be better. There's pressure on your running back there, Tony Pollard, because if Tony doesn't have a great year, he's not going to get paid. He's not going to see the money. So is there pressure on Dak? Sure. But I think the majority of the pressure is on the offensive coaches. That's where I think the pressure is.
Who you think have more success? Now, Kellen Moore in the Chargers or Mike McCarthy here? Because I don't know what you think, but Justin Herbert,
I love Justin Herbert.
A good couple with Kellen Moore. And I don't know what will happen. No, if you can imagine that, will be a madness for Cowboys, not?
Yeah, I really like Justin Herbert a lot. And I know that he hasn't, sometimes he hasn't delivered like he should. I like their receivers. I think they run the ball really well. Their offensive line, I think, is good. And so I'm interested to see how well that Kellen handles that situation with the Chargers, because I think he's got the personnel. I really, Austin Eckler at running back, and I mean, he's got some legitimate weapons to work with now, and he put up a lot of points. He put up a lot of points with this offense, and I think he can put up even more with the Chargers. I really, really do, with the weapons that they have.
And here in Mexico, the people, of course, are hungry. Many times when they finish the games and they lost, how the things are, not? But the first person who is the guilty of this is Jerry Jones. He's the bad guy in the movie because, of course, I don't know, there'll be a lot of things that people talk about in social media, but if they don't want, the fall is for Jerry Jones and the players too, and there'll be a lot of things about it. For me, I think the owner is the first person who wants to see the team won, not? But do you think is really a factor, this, I don't know, the vision of Jerry Jones or something like that?
Well, the thing that happens, I think the passion is still there. I think he wants to win. I think he'll do whatever he has to do to win. Is he doing everything in the day-to-day operations? No, not at 80 years old. It's just, you slow down. You really slow down. And I think that Jerry loves the draft. He loves the season. He loves the training camp. He loves the fans. But this is really Steven's team now. Well, Steven and Charlotte and Jerry Jr., the kids. I think this is their team. And I think that they all look to Steven along with Will and then Mike McCarthy to be, but Steven is the day-to-day operations of the team. But that's not to say that the passion and the desire to win and all that is not with Jerry Jones. I just don't think it's the day-to-day operations like we've seen 25 years ago. I think it's a lot different.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot different. But that's just age. That's just becoming older. The will, the desire, everything's still there. But the actual day-to-day operations of the team, I think he's handed that off to the kids. I really do.
It's complicated, but with all of these stuffs, how looks to you the next season for the Cowboys? There'll be a lot of competition in the conference and in division. It will be a very
Philly. Hey, let me tell you what, the NFC East, the division, the NFC East, the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. The division as a whole, I think, has gotten better. I know last year we saw the Giants make a little rise. The Commanders were one game away from getting into the playoffs themselves, had a bad loss at the end of the year that cost them an opportunity to get in the playoffs because their coach played the wrong quarterback. Yeah. So I feel like that as a whole, the division is going to be a lot tougher. And I think the best team in the division is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the rosters are close.
Yeah.
The difference right now is their quarterback in his second year got them to the Super Bowl, and here we are, we're getting into year 8 with Dak. And is it all Dak's fault? No, but the quarterbacks, they're responsible. Look at Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got his team to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That's what you got to have. You got to have that guy that gets you to championship games and the Super Bowl. And so I can understand paying Jalen Hurts $51 million. He second year, he got you to the Super Bowl. Yes, if Dak Prescott were in the second year to get you to a Super Bowl, I'd give him $51 million. So this division as a whole has gotten better. And I'm not just saying just the Eagles, but the Cowboys got better too. Cowboys got better, but man, it is going to be tough. It is going to be tough. To win this division, whoever wins this division is going to deserve it. And the teams, we might have 2 teams once again in the playoffs, the second and third place team like we did last year, Cowboys, Giants. You better find a way. You better find a way to win 11 or 12 games just to make sure you get in the playoffs. Because we saw last year, Cowboys win 12 games. Well, 12 games, and they're on the road in the wild card. It's, you got to, that's winning 12. And the team that won the division won 14. So, you better find a way to win 12 or more games to make sure.
I don't know if I prepare for watching that game, because it's really, really complicated to think about how the Cowboys have this or make a leader in the division, because the Eagles are so strong, and with all this draft, and of course Jalen Hurts, what's amazing, all the job that they made in the last season. Not so. Yeah. I don't know what we need to do for wake up and make the things.
Well,
better,
no, yeah, there's but see, the Eagles had a lot of turnover too on offense and defense.
Yeah. So
with their coaching staff. So these are things. I mean, the Giants look the most stable. Do the Giants have the right quarterback? I think the only thing holding the Commanders back is a quarterback.
Yeah.
So if those teams kind of figure things out, this going and sweeping the Giants and sweeping the Commanders, and it's not going to happen. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Now, I love the talk and all everything around we are talking about, but of course the time not. But before we go, I have 2 or 3 questions more, and of course we want to know. I have 3 questions more, and I want to know about Isaac Alarcón. How look this year for him, and if you think really have more participation now in the team and in the defense, of course.
Which player? I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. Which player are you asking about? CD?
Isaac Alarcón. The Mexican player.
Alarcón. Alarcón. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought, I was like, I just want to make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
I think, listen, this is where with Alarcón, I watched him every year get better. And then, I understand why they're putting him at defensive tackle, because what happens during practice, he plays tackle when they run the scout team. And then when they go offense, he goes and plays defense. He goes and plays defensive tackle. I will say this. Every year that I was doing the games on the radio, that I got to watch the games and make the commentary, he would play, and I was thinking, he's getting better. Like, there are guys that have not near, they're like, he's got so much, I mean, his experience as opposed to guys he plays with, there are guys that have more experience that are making far more mistakes than he is as a player. And I respect where he is right now. I really do, but it's not going to be easy being that defensive tackle. It's just not. And so I wonder if, if he's a guy that the practice squad stuff, I think is out, the exemptions. So he's going to have to make the team or be on the practice squad, and he's going to have to hold a spot on the practice squad. So they'll have to account for him, not have an exemption that allows him to practice. So this is an important year. But if he shows well enough, you put him on the practice squad because of all the things he can do. But if he doesn't, then maybe it's an opportunity to go somewhere else and take all the experience that you learned and then be on another team. I'd love to see him stick around, and he's gotten better. He really has gotten better.
We hope have a better future. Yeah. He made the job, but of course.
There's nothing to be ashamed about the way and I'm not just saying that to make people in Mexico feel good. And I'm not, I'd be real honest with you. He got better every year. He did. And he's just run out of time with the exemptions. I mean, you wish that he was like, oh, we can plug him in and he can play tackle or he can play guard. And the fact that they're trying to keep him and move him to another position might tell you something, that they think, well, maybe he can be a defensive tackle. I think it's going to be tough. But if he can stick around, show something in the preseason, then you talk about maybe putting him on the practice squad as one of your guys.
Yeah. Well, let's see. How about
Let's see.
Okay. Bryan, I will tell you a short story. Here in Mexico, there will be now a professional league of football, of American football, and it's a very great passion, And in one of these teams of the league, we have an ex-Cowboy player. Okay.
Oh, who is it? It's a wide receiver. It's Williams.
Yeah.
It's Williams. Yeah.
Can you?
He's playing great, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he playing great?
That is the question. If you can tell us an anecdote about Terrence Williams, or what do you think about how this player can maybe make a new vision here for the league in Mexico?
Yeah, that's how many American players play in the league? Is it quite a few? Is it a lot?
8 maybe.
Oh, really?
12 players.
12 players? Okay, cool. Yeah, Terrence. Now it's funny that you mentioned Terrence. Terrence and I went to the same high school in Dallas. Okay. So, but we went to school 25 years apart. I mean, I'm a lot older than Terrence.
Yeah.
But he went to Baylor. He came here. Terrence had this ability as a player.
Yeah.
So we know as Cowboy fans, he makes crazy catches. Like the catch he made in the Seattle game, the one year when Romo was like running all over the place, and he throws the ball at the sidelines, and you're thinking he's throwing it for Jason Witten, but here comes Terrence Williams and makes this like spectacular catch. Like, it's just amazing. And I saw some clips where Terrence was like, this was probably a month ago. Like, they were throwing the ball down the field and he's still making like crazy catches and stuff like that. Who does he play for? Which team? Do we know what team he plays for?
In Galgos de Tijuana.
Okay.
That's the name of the team.
What's their mascot, their nickname? What are they?
Galgos. It's like a dog.
A dog?
I don't have here the icon, but
the dog.
It's a dog. Yeah, black and red.
Oh, okay. So
But
it's like a mean. It's like a mean dog.
It's here. Do you watch it?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a greyhound.
And I watched him in the first week when they come to Mexico.
He made some crazy catches.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a madness, man. Yes, really. And so kind. Yeah. It's very, very good guy.
Well, good for him. I'm happy he's getting to play. Is he doing, I mean, do they interview him and stuff? Is he like talking?
Okay, I will watch. I will watch. Look.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's like a fan. Is he a fan favorite? Do the fans love him and all that stuff like that? I mean, is he the fans really like him and stuff? Of course.
You can imagine that. It's a madness here. All of the fans, Cowboys fans.
They know him because the Cowboys.
Terrence Williams, and they scream and they follow him. Then the picture.
He's a hero. He's a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero.
He's a boy. He's like a bullfighter. He's a hero. Yeah. Soccer player. Yeah. Good.
They love it. They love it, really. So, Bryan, can you say some words for all the Mexican fans here in Mexico about, I don't know, they come not for the next season, and I don't know, maybe have hope, no? Because
absolutely. It's every season is different, and we all know that. Some days it's, you're up here, and then other days you're down here, and we'll get the schedule here probably in another week, and we'll go through all the games, and we'll say, oh, when do they play Philadelphia? Oh, when do they play? Oh, when do they play? And we'll mark them all down. This is a good football team. The Dallas Cowboys, with Aaron Rodgers now moving, Dak Prescott. I mean, when you look at the NFC conference, the Cowboys are just as good. I mean, the Eagles, the 49ers, they're going to be right there with those teams. It really, really is going to come down to how quickly this coaching staff, especially on the offensive side of the ball, gets them going. You can't lag behind. You can't have bad weeks. You got to keep stacking victories on that. And the Cowboys are capable of that. The Cowboys have a good enough roster to go to the Super Bowl. They absolutely have a good enough roster. But can Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Mike Solari, all these coaches, Scott Tolzien, can all these coaches pull it together and not have an up and down season, but go up with the offense? And that's going to be the key. That is going to be they're only going to be, their defense will be really good. Their offense needs to match their defense. And if they do that, we can absolutely all talk about being in Las Vegas this February for a Super Bowl.
Great.
Is that good enough hope?
Yeah.
Bueno,
we want to win the Super Bowl, Bryan. Why we can't?
I was a young man the last time they won a Super Bowl. So
it's a time.
I won the Super Bowl. I'll tell you how long it's been.
Me too.
I won the Super Bowl after the Cowboys won.
Yes.
I was 30. I was 33 years old.
God.
I'm like 59 years old. What happened? What happened right now? So yeah, kind of crazy.
It's crazy. Thank you, Bryan, for these minutes. It was really awesome.
Thank you.
As usual. And thank you for everything. And we hope
thank you.
Repeat again, maybe.
Well, no, hey, thank you guys. And I know how much the Cowboys mean to the country of Mexico. And anytime that I get a chance to be on a platform in Mexico or be on a platform in Europe, the fan bases are incredible. They really are. And I thank you for allowing me to be with you tonight. It's always a pleasure to see you again. And I just want to say to the fans down there, thank you for all your support. Trust me, I go through my Twitter. I know my Hispanic fans. I know they ask questions, ask great questions. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for everything you do for me and for the National Football League. Really, it's amazing. It's amazing the support that we get in Mexico. It's incredible.
We hope to see you here in Mexico.
I'd love that. I would love to come back. I really, really would. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bueno, amigos de Cowboys en 60, esta fue la entrevista con Bryan Broaddus. Esperemos que la hayan disfrutado. Y bueno, pues ya saben, sigan a NFL Freak NFL en todas sus redes sociales. Y yo soy Laura Sandoval. Me pueden seguir en Facebook y en Instagram como Lautrec13 y en Twitter Lautrec. Y nos vemos en la próxima.